Hi, Sayed.
Hi, Dr. Kazim.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thanks a lot for your effort. I don't know when you can make time to do all this sort of things, but that's really good. That's a very educational thing, it seems.
Yeah, like I
Amazing.
love to do those kind of things because of this COVID. Like I cannot do a lot. So,
Right, right, right.
but I
We
love
we
to do
load you so much with teaching that there is no time to do anything else, right?
it. And the face-to-face meeting also is very limited.
Yeah,
So this kind of a workshop is very important when you meet face-to-face.
that's right. That's right. Everything good with you, Syed?
Yes, everything is good. How are you?
How many courses are you teaching, by the way, this semester?
Three courses.
Three.
Uh,
Okay. All right. All right.
Uh, and I have like a senior project, which is capstone project. And those are the important like who are graduating this semester.
Okay. That's in addition to the three courses.
Yeah, three courses. Yes.
Okay. Good. Very good. How many? Do you know how many people have registered for this?
So more than 100. So 110 around.
Goodness. That shows what you're doing has a lot of interest here.
Yeah, yeah. And like I'm using my own Zoom account. So like should be okay, I think, because I don't have any license from EVU, so I use my own like.
You couldn't use Teams, could you?
But in Teams, like you need like EVU email address. So this event is
Oh,
for
I,
public.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck, and I'll be listening to.
Yeah. Thank you. Like feel free to ask any questions you have.
Take care.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Welcome to the workshop today. We talk about art of hacking. I think more than 100 people registered today, and I think all of you can join today. Can you hear me okay, everybody?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Yes.
Thank you. So, and you can see my screen too, like PowerPoint screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, so today we talk about art of hacking, and in this workshop, I actually design in a way that is everybody can understand the concept, and everybody understand the awareness of like cybersecurity. And this workshop is funded by NSF, and this is the award number. And I think we are not have enough time to go through everybody's introductions, but based on the registration, I found that we have audience all over the place, even high school kids, bachelor, masters, PhD. So I think it is a wide variety of audiences here, and I'll make sure I'm not going like too depth or too surface, so I have to cover all of those things so everybody can understand. So first of all, in order to be able to help you the best, I really request you to turn on your camera if possible. Mute your microphone unless you want to speak. Stay focused and during discussion, and let me know if you have any questions. So I really request you, if you can do that, then it will be like a really good discussions, and we can learn together. So here, what we learn, or how do you anticipating in this workshop? So because of COVID, I want to do this workshop in like virtually, but it will very like a hands-on, like interactive. We can do face to face, and in future, I think if everything goes fine in COVID, after COVID, I'll organize more events like that. So if you can do hands-on exercise or hands-on like activities all together. So first of all, we'll understanding the importance of security. Many of you already know what is what is security means and what is the importance for security. And number two is understanding the essential concerns in achieving general goals of security. And then we learn some hacking techniques or tricks, and then we'll evaluate the security weakness. So first two point, those are for general, so everybody should know the importance of security. And the last part, when we talk about the hacking techniques, then we need some kind of like a technical knowledge. If anybody is here who is like think that is overwhelming, just be with us and try to understand those techniques and technical aspect of it. uh, and that's all I need from you. So if you see now the paradigm shift of security, if you think about long ago, many years ago, people have big walls, like a big a fort, and they build a perimeter defense and system focus, and assuming that inside is good, outside is bad, and fantasy of 100% compliance and zero risks. That means if you make a boundary, you are protected. But this whole thing is shaped. So that means now our protections, our security is not surrounding by boundary. So it's like anybody who is connected to internet, they might be vulnerable. Give an example. So for example, you have a like nice Tesla car, a self-driving car, and you're driving in California. Somebody else in outside of US, and if they have access to your control system of your self-driving car, or any car, then even you cannot control the car, and then your life is depends on that person hand. That means that person can access to the control system of the car, and they can put in the ditch, or you can end up in the like river or whatever. They can do whatever they want. That means even they are not in US, or they are not in the same country, even anywhere in the world, they can have access to your control system. It happens any control system, for example, self-driving car, power plant, even your like humidifier, um, any kind of things which are connected to internet. So that means it's very very important to understand when you have any smart things that are connected to our house, or any smart things those are connected to anywhere. That means you have to make sure that is protected, that is secured to use. Others, that control might be in others hand. And for example, you can end up like a die if the control of the self-driving car is some bad person's hand. Even you can go for sauna, for example. You have a smart sauna, you go for after shower, you go for sauna. Somebody else have access to the control system of the sauna, and they can lock your door, and they can raise the temperature more than 100 degree, and you will die, even that person is not nearby, right? So it's very alarming. And to understand this, like, you have to think about it. Whatever you are using smart device or smart technologies, make sure the security of those smart technologies secured. Uh, so now if you think about like a long ago, like it's 1990, 2000, so people like have different kind of attack and different kind of like way of tackling security. So in 1990s, people data is insecure business system. Then network attack, it might be a problems. In 2000, you have different kind of issues. People have hackers, data breach, then cybercrime, then malware. So that means every time in our lifeline or timeline, there's something there. And we talk about those, we just know about those things. And then maybe the bad people have different approach to attack it. And then we have to be smart enough to tackle them. So that means this fight never end. So every time you have some new skills developed by the bad people, and as a like good human being or as a like ethical hacker, we have to make sure they cannot succeed. So that means over time, always there is a problem, and we have to find out, we have to up to date ourselves to make sure we are ahead of them. So there's the timeline, and there's that like just try to explain how we can make sure to be up to date. We have to make sure like we can tackle them, or we can tackle the bad people attacking us. Next, if you think about like what do you mean by security? When you talk about security, it can be physical security, it can be cyber security, any kind of security. There's three things is important. Number one is confidentiality. Number two is integrity, and number three is availability. So these three things very very important. That means confidentially means whatever you have information, you are transferring them, you are sharing them confidentially. That means that the bad person cannot access to your data, and you are only the person, or the good people only have the access to the data. That means if you send a letter to your friend, make sure your friend can only read it, nobody else. That means that letter might be confidential. Integrity, so that means like for example, you send a letter to your friend and you say I love you, but maybe the messenger just erase love and with hate. And whenever a friend receive it and say I hate you, and there's a huge difference between I love you and I hate you. That means you have to make sure on the way, all the messages, all the things, all the data you are transferring, those are the integrity of those data is preserved. And availability means like you have available, like all the information should be available to the person who should have access to those data. So if you understand these three things, that means confidentiality, integrity, and availability, these are the main goals of the security. And as a security expert, we have to make sure those are established, those are maintained. And as a bad people who are like hacking for bad purpose, then they might have the similar thing. They want to get access to the information they are not supposed to. They want to alter some information they are not supposed to, and they want to make available to the information who are not, should not get access to those data. So these are the three pillars or three objective or goals of the security. And if you think about like physical security, the same thing, cybersecurity is the same thing. So you have to understand these three things very uh, like very importantly. And then we talk about the common attacks. um, what is the common attacks for threatening confidentiality? So might be spoofing, refers to unauthorized access to interceptions of data. Attackers threatening in integrity, that means any kind of modifications, any kind of masquerading, means like attacker in person somebody else. So for example, you get a link from Amazon, it says Amazon $100 gift card, but maybe if you see closely the domain is like a gift card at gmail.com, Amazon gift card at gmail.com. That means anybody can create that email address and they can impersonate that, and they're the Amazon and they send you $100 gift card. So those kind of things might be common attacks. And we also talk about like a attack threatening availability. So you all know about DOS attack, which is like, for example, think about like a personal life. For example, there's a like you go to a party, and in the party there's a like a booth for food, and many people are like gathering on that table, on that booth, food booth, and the capacity of that booth may be like 6 people, and like hundreds of people are like gathered, like surrounding the table. That maybe those 100 people are not the like invited guest. You are the invited guest, but you cannot get access to that food because all 100 people like surrounding the food. That's like DOS attack. That means, so when any website or any server, those are like have a lot of requests at the same time, that server might be slow, that server kind of like irresponsive, and then you the legitimate user cannot access to it. So that's the DOS attack. That means that you should be, the service should be available to you, but you're not getting those service. Any questions so far? um, no. Okay.
We're also in the chat on the sidebar. I don't know if you've got that open, Professor.
No, because I am using two monitors, and like for some reason.
The question was, will the slides be available to us after this presentation?
Yes, yes.
And where can we access that?
I'll email to everybody. So I have your email address. Sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So like in the first part, we talk about those different kind of attacks and like those theories, and at the end, we do some hacking. So don't feel that everything is like just lecture. So we have some hacking part too. So just bear with me. Um, So now we talk about the like security services. That means data confidentiality is one of the service, data integrity another service, access control is another one. So data confidentiality is like to fight against the attackers threatening confidentiality, and security mechanism is enchantments, cipher, encipherment, and then you have like data integrity is to fight against the attackers threatening integrity. For example, encrypted digest, digital signature, then those kind of stuff you can use. And nowadays people use a lot of service like that. It's like DocuSign, and like use like digital signatures. And last one is access control, is to fight against the attackers threatening availability. So that means if you cannot, if you put a lot of things on the access and they cannot access to it, then data is not available and you cannot get availability of those services. So if you understand these three things, and these are the three services we talk about, and now we just want to talk about a little bit about the culture, and how USA is like fundamentally they are into like security, and they grab those things early on to achieve a lot of success. I think many of you know Najavo code talkers, right? So Najavo code, so it's for our Native Americans, they have their own language, and they actually help during our like World War, and they actually their language actually act as a like, cryptographic language, and they help USA to pass many information secretly using their language. So this like if you don't know is a very cultural like background. USA use Najavo like code or their services. That means their language act as a like a cryptographic language. That means you can tell them some information, they will pass that information to somebody else, and they actually use that like Najavo code to pass those information during the warfare, and that actually help us US a lot of like success to win the war. And like a lot of innovation happened in US during World War One and World War Two. So those are the like very like important important responsibility they did during the war. So now we talk about like for general community. I think like many of you know about phishing attack. Uh, and phishing attack, I can think like everybody have experience of it. And sometimes you win a lottery, sometimes you get something from your advisor or boss. So some kind of things like they pretend is the act of sending emails to user falsely claiming to the established legitimate enterprise. That means, for example, you don't have to be computer science major. Everybody in the community, they might have this experience. You sometimes you get like a email that you got $100 gift card, and then they ask for your personal information and your name. You have to pay only the tax amount. There's another one is like they ask for selling a car, and they say like car is free but you have to pay the tax. Then they ask your money to get those money or information. So their main goal is to impersonate that there's somebody else, and you should believe that. And when you believe that, then there's the hacking happened. That means you purposefully give your information to them. Give an example. So these are like example. It's come from First Generic Bank, and please update your account information. And they say like as a courtesy of a valued customer of this bank, you have to give this information, and this is the information. And if you see here, visit firstamerikancitibank.com account, and domain is updateinfo.com. That is not the bank. So if you believe that this is the bank, and if you submit all your information, your first name, last name, account name, SSN, that means this all information is like just they already got your information. That's the way they impersonate somebody else. And how you know that? Because most of us we get this kind of emails, this kind of tempting text, uh, and tempting like a mail, email, text communications. How you know that these are the phishing attacks? So there's some sign, or there's some like symptoms. With those symptoms, you know this is a phishing attack, or this is something like something fishy. Number one is like a generic greeting. That means sometimes they use your first name, last name with it, or sometimes they say dear. So when you see the same email can be sent to others without changing anything, that means those are generic emails. Then you should have a question mark in your mind that says something wrong. Next thing is like forced link. That means you get a link with a name, recognize somebody in it, and actually then, for example, you get an email from Facebook, but Facebook domain is not there. And when you click that, then it go back to different email. So for example, if you can see here, here you have a similar web page, Facebook sign up, Facebook login. But if you go to the like closely in the domain, it's called abaction.net. That means most of us, we don't look closely on the domain. But if you see, oh, it's facebook.com, similar template, so we should write our email address and password. As long as I write down the email address and password, they actually get my email address and password. So that means you have to make sure whenever write any information, any input, anywhere, make sure you are writing on the legit website or legit source. So another symbol is like request personal information and sense of urgency. What is personal information? The point of sending phishing email is to trick yourself and to provide you some personal information. So for example, they say like, oh, you have to update your bank information, give me your bank account and SSN. So those personal information, whoever asks for those personal information, that means you have always put a question mark in your mind and say, oh, something wrong and I should not do that. I have to make sure it is legit. If it is a bank, make sure it is a bank. If it is like a website, make sure it's a legit website. And they always put some urgency. So for example, you get an email from like a president for EVU and or president for like some big companies, and they say like, please send me your like mobile number or send me your account information. I have an urgency. I have to submit a report by tonight. So when you get some kind of email like that, and you believe that that is your boss, and then you, without thinking, you just send those information. So that means when you see some kind of urgency in the email, that means you always make sure you're getting that email from the right person. Even you're confused, then you might reach out to that person personally with other method like a phone call or fax, any other method, and make sure he actually send you the email. So without making sure those kind of stuff, don't share any personal information in the phishing attacks. This is a very, very popular attack, and this is very easy to get your password, easy to get your account information. So don't be fooled with those phishing attack. So now we talk about the like keyloggers. Keylogger is another very like very commonly used. Like for example, keylogger means you have whatever you type in your computer, they actually log. They actually type your all those letter, all those types in a software. They might do like some kind of small thumb drive, flash drive they put in your computer, or they can install those things in your like lab computers. So whenever you use a lab computer, make sure there's no keylogger there. So if you don't know there's no keylogger, then whatever you type in a public computers or in a like lab computers, those might be like already recorded in keylogger, and they might use. And if you easily understand when you have an email address and there's some other numbers, you can easily differentiate this is the password and this is the username. So it's very identifiable, and make sure you're not using any information which is sensitive in public computer. So this is the problem. This is the program that can record each stroke of the keyboard. That means whatever you are typing, they record all those typing, and sometimes they use like a local thumb drive to save those data. Sometimes they have access to your lab computer or public computer, and they actually get access remotely. So this is very, very popular, and it's very easy to get information, private information or your personal information easily. So those are the common attacks, and like how to protect from keylogger. So use a firewall, install a password managers, update your software, change password frequently, make sure you're not giving any password or critical information in the public computers. And when you use any kind of things, just make sure you delete the history, you delete those passwords before you log out. So those are the information, and I think like we learn for the sake of community and to save our community from different kind of attack. We learn phishing attacks, and we also learn like keyloggers, and make sure we are not be the victim of those different kind of attacks. With that, I have all those information for the community, like make sure they are secure, make sure they are protected. Any questions so far? No.
Yeah, actually. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. How would that apply to like cell phones or things like that? Like how would you protect like from something like that getting on a cell phone?
So for example, sometimes you remember like when you install any third-party applications. So always like they ask for permission, right? Permission for camera, permission for your contact, permission for your like any kind of things. So when you have any third-party application which is not popular, always have questions in your mind. So for example, you just download an app for running tracker, for example, and they want to access your camera, they want to access your like contacts. They don't have to access your contacts, right? So always when you give any access or permission, always making sure you give permission at least like not as less as possible. And I think you always see like we always have a tendency to say accept all. So don't do accept all, always like do something like make sure you use less permission to them. Because most of the mobile phone attacks, those are happening for third party applications. They actually impersonate for good things. For example, there is impersonate for your tracking your running mileage, but they actually put some seed and try to track your activities and get those information.
About like web browsers, like, do these things have to be like installed, or can it just happen from visiting, like, say, a website, like, and not even installing anything?
Even you don't install anything. So for example, when you go to different website and that website is not legit website, they might have record your session. And record your session means, for example, in before you visit that website, you just submit a create an information in your website or purchase something. And in the same session, if you go to another website, those are not legit, and they might have access to your that session, previous session. So that means when you put something, always say don't save your password, don't save your credit card information. Always clear the history, clear the cache, and make sure before you go to any kind of like tentative website. Most of the things is like dating website. Some website people are very attracted to those websites. Those are the vulnerable websites people use to get your information. So before go to those websites, make sure you are not use any sensitive information before. Okay, because most of the time people use those kind of tentative website which people want to go for entertainment. Okay, so those are the like common tips and common attacks. And now we talk about like hack, how you can hack a Wi-Fi environment. You all know that when you go to your friend's house, you ask for friend's house Wi-Fi password. So after you learn this technique, you don't have to know your friend's password. You can hack the password for any house you want. Uh, so those we learned today. So these are different kind of protocols they use to encrypt those passwords. So for example, when you write any password in Wi-Fi, they actually encrypt it. So that means you cannot get those encryptions. And there's some protocols, and we talk about WAP protocols and WAP2 protocols. And those are the protocols people use or in most of the router use to encrypt your Wi-Fi password. And today our goal is in this activity, we plan an activity, and in this goal is like how the WAP protocol works. That means when you put any password in Wi-Fi, and how is their weakness. And we also like a Wi-Fi scan, and we see what kind of networks in nearby, and at the end we exploit one of those WAP access points, and without knowing the password we can crack the password, and we have those tools, and we learn those tools today. And next one is like WAP2 protocols, which is like more advanced. But because of the time constant, we only like focus on WAP. And if you want to know more, I can get another seminar or workshop or like talk about WAP2 next time. But today we just talk about WAP protocols and how we can hack that protocol. Okay. So before we start, we have Wi-Fi access point can be entry point for attackers. That means, for example, when you know the Wi-Fi password, that is the first step. That means you know about the network, you have access to that network, and then you can follow those traffic, whatever they're generating. So for example, you want to target someone, and you can have access to their home Wi-Fi, and you can access to that network, and whatever they are sending and receiving, you have access to those, and those are the like layer 2, layer 4, layer 5, different kind of attacks. That means this is the first step. When you get to the first step, that means you have access to that house, and now you know their traffic, now you know their like more things, and you can do more attack and more attack. Like for example, to know the password is not a big deal, but then there's the first step to get into the house, and then whatever they're receiving and transmitting, then you get their critical information, you get their like browsing history, their patterns, what kind of people they are. So you can do a lot of things when you know what kind of traffic they're transferring. Make sense? So the objective to learn why the Wi-Fi security protocols may be insecure and under which conditions not to learn how to hack a Wi-Fi access point without prior authorizations. So after you learn this today, I really request you don't try to your neighbor, don't try to your friends. So if you have a written permission, just only when you can do that, and don't blame to me that I just teach you this technique. This up to you. So that the disclosure is like instructors are not responsible for any loss, incidental or consequential damage, loss arising out of installations, use unauthorized, error, mistake, accident, theft, fraud, destructions, or any part of provisions of service. If you have questions, consult a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. So if you do something, just risk is yours. Don't refer to me that on that workshop, like Dr. Said told me to do that. Okay. And internet is very dangerous, so be careful, like when you do any kind of things. Okay. So today we talk about, we remember this disclosure, and always like remember that, because we are here to learn good things, and don't apply those things to your neighbor or friends. Okay. If you want to, just get the permission, and if even you want to get the permission, and then you can do like ethical hacking. So we are using a aircrack in G Suite to hack WAP protocol, and there's different kind of like monitor and mode settings tools. Airmon, which is enable monitor mode, find wireless networks, capture frames, and Kismet is another tools, which is like a set adapters, monitor mode, survey, and capture frames. Aerodump capture new raw frames, more especially IV. IV means like a so initial vectors, and we'll talk about those, what is initial vectors are, and save the cap files. And airplay, inject frames, different attack modes like fake authentications, ARP, re-injections, and we use aircrack to cracking the program. That means we get all the information first, and then we use aircrack to crack the password. So first of all, I'll go over how to do this one in life, and then it takes some time to run that program. Then in the meantime, when it is running, I'll go over it, how it's possible, what is the problem, what is the weakness we're using to hack this. Make sense? Questions? Any questions?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So first of all, we have to scan it. Scan it means we scan what kind of like network we have surrounding us. So surrounding us, we have maybe 2.4G, we have 5G, or we might have like WEP protocols, we have open protocols, we have like WEP2 protocols, WEP3 protocols. That means we have to know what we have surrounding us. That's called reconnaissance or scanning. That means we have to know about our surroundings. That things we do first. And then when you know, oh, we found something which is vulnerable, then we attack those things. Okay. So similar thing, like when do people do in military, they go for a war, they first go around it, try to find out the weakness of the opponent. When they find the weakness, then they make strategy and attack. The same concept. We try, first of all, we try to find out the, like, what do you have in the surroundings. So, and how we can do that, like testing and hacking Wi-Fi access points start by gathering information about APs, access points. And then most probably, you know, the name of the Wi-Fi access points, which is like ESSID. So in network terminology, is called ESSID. And reconnaissance start by identifying the BSSID channel and encryption type and target AP. So then you know this is our target. Okay, let's do it, and then we'll go over it why it is working. Okay. And today we are using like a Kali Linux, and I'm using one of my virtual box for Kali Linux, and I'm using Panda, like a wireless USB adapters to hack the network. And for this network, actually, I built this own network. So that means I give to me my permission so to hack this. And then I'm okay with it. So I just show you how to hack it. Okay. So this is my okay. This is my Kali Linux in VirtualBox. Can you see those typing, or is too small?
I can see it.
Okay. So this is my Kali Linux terminal, and I actually go to device, and I connect my wireless adapters, which is like this one. I just connect those things using like a device and USB and this one. So that means it costs only $25. If you don't have a wireless adapter, you can purchase from Amazon or any other marketplace, and that's only you need to hack it. Okay. So that means you connect your wireless adapter and you connect it, and then you have to do earmon, the tool earmon ng, and see what kind of protocols, what kind of things you have here. So you see like a WLAN mon. So those are physical interface. So now you can do like earmon ng start. So WLAN 0, that interface. Okay. So now you have WLAN MG, and then you have to find out what kind of network here is available. For those information, you have to do like a Eurodump tool, and these are all like in the same suite in Kali Linux. Those are available. So when you install Kali Linux, you have all those tools. So you don't have to do anything else. So Eurodump ng, then WLAN mom. Now you see here, this is the most fascinating thing. When you see your mobile, you go for networks, you see different kind of networks. For example, when you have a mobile network, you go to your friend's house, you search for network, right? The same thing. Now you are searching for networks, but this gives you all those information, not only the networks. These are the networks. Whatever you can see in your in your mobile, these are the networks. But you can see many things, which is like your MAC address, your power level. That means if it is like too far, strength is too low, and then number of beacons, data, which one is passing data or transferring data or not. And then you have your encryption, what kind of encryption they are using, and what kind of cipher they are using, authentication they are using, and your like a action your access point name. So now, based on this, did you see any vulnerable like a WAP protocol here?
One is open.
One is open, that means you don't need any password. So those are like, you don't need to hack because they are meant to be open. But if you see any WEP protocols, that means they have a password, right? Did you see any WEP protocols?
Yeah, the Pentagon one.
Yeah, Pentagon one. So our target is Pentagon then. We'll hack Pentagon today, okay? So now you find out after the scanning, you find out your target. When you find out your target, you have to make sure you focus only the target, nothing else, okay? So now we just, so we do the same thing, ear dump, ng, then our SSID is Pentagon, right? ESSID, that is our access point. In network terminology, it's called ESSID, okay? Our SSID were focused on Pentagon, okay? And then which channel we're targeting? So channel is, what is the Pentagon channel?
Just 10, I think. It is kind of small.
Yeah, 10, thank you, 10.
Yeah,
And
actually, could you zoom in just a little bit? I don't know if there's a way to make text just a little bit
sure,
bigger. Like we can see, but it's not easy.
let me check. Zoom in. That's better.
Much so,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's better.
Okay. So now we're doing aerodump, means we're just capturing those PCAPs, what kind of like traffic they're transferring. We are capturing those things. And then we have aerodump, NG, Pentagon, then our channel is 10. Then you have to write those in our file, and you can name any file. You just say data, our data. So that means whatever they're transferring, you save those caps, PCAPs data in our data, PCAPs. And then you have to do WLAN your interface, WLAN 0 on. When you do this, then actually it focus only on Pentagon. Do you see that? Only on Pentagon. That means you see the Pentagon one here, and you see the data is incremental, right? So that means we need a lot of data to find out the password. That means if those Pentagon is like passing data, that means they are sending information, same encryptions. And in the meantime, it takes some time to gather those data. That means we are only focusing on this Pentagon, WFT protocol, channel number 10, and this is the data they're passing. And these are different interface they're using, okay? These are the probe they're using. That means these are different probe they're using. So in the meantime, I'll show you like how we know like what is the weakness they have and how we can crack this, okay? So do you understand up to this part? Now it's just sending those data and our data. Remember our data, that file actually capture all those raw data. Now, after we have done capturing all the data, then we see what is the password, cracking those PCAP file. Okay. So next, go to like our presentation again. In the meantime, it's running in the backend, and we'll go over it like why we're getting those like cracking this weakness. So here we use like airmon ng like command, and then airmon ng start WLAN 0, and then we dump the information PCAP files, and we use like this command like ESSID, then channel, number of channel, and or we can do BSSID, MAC address. These are the basic command you need to hack this. Okay. Any questions so far?
The purpose of the USB wireless dongle, is that the network you're generating that you're trying to crack right now?
So that dongle actually just as a like, external like wireless driver. They actually try to find out all those network nearby me.
So you could use your own internal wireless card that's built into the machine if it has one to do the same thing, right?
Exactly. If you use only Kali Linux, because I'm using like MacBook with VirtualBox, that's why I'm using the external one, because the VirtualBox doesn't like recognize my internal wireless interface. But
Understood.
if you have a dedicated like a Kali Linux like a computer, you don't need to. Okay.
Thank you.
So now we talk about the why is hackable and why there's a vulnerability, and we're trying to understand the inside of it. So in WFT protocol, they use like a RC4 standard, and WFT protocol works using like your initial vector. So in the meantime, you see like if there's a traffic passing or not. So very slow. So we have to generate, I just play some video in the back end, so it will generate some traffic. Just a minute. So I'm just connecting to the Pentagon and just running some video or something like that, so it can get more traffic to it. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So could you tell us what some of these columns mean, the PWR and the lost?
Yes. So first one is MAC address, like a BSSID, this one. Then power means in decibel. So that means it determines whether your access point is close to you or far from you. Okay. And then beacons, like those are packets, like what kind of like how many beacons they are transferring. And then data is like how many frames they are transferring. And this channel number, that means every network you have a channel like 1, 2, 3, 4, those are channels. And these are MB, how many MB you are doing, like a 54E. ENC means encryption technology, is a cipher, what kind of cipher they are using, what kind of authentication they are using, SKA, and this is the last is access point. And now you're focusing only the Pentagon, and these are the things they are thinking like, oh, this device is connected to Pentagon, this device is connected to Pentagon. That means this may be one of the laptop, this might be one of my TV, this might be one of my computer. Those are the things with the Pentagon. So that means these are determine what kind of device they are using. And even when you know the MAC address, even with the MAC address first 4 digit, you know what brand they are using. So that means every MAC address, they have a dedicated number. That means if you just look for your friend's house and you see those MAC address, that means, oh, he's using a Sony device and he might use like a PlayStation. Then if you go and like want to physically install those things, you can do those things too. So those are the information you're collecting. So, but if you see like they're using a CRT TV, so there's no meaning to steal those things. You understand? So that means you're just getting information. So that means you get a lot of information without informing the target.
Yeah. So what is the lost column? I see that it bounces up and then it goes back to 0.
Lost, this one?
Yeah.
So lost column means like you have like every transactions, every like session, you have those like frames coming and you lost some frame and go back to 0 and you create another session. So for example, this device is my TV and my son is playing Fortnite, and whenever they're playing this Fortnite, every session they create one, and on that session, if they lost something, they put like 0 loss. That means there's no loss on that like device.
What does the not associated column mean under
Which
the
one?
BSSID? The not associated?
Or not associated. So that means like this Shopnachari, CNET, Shopnachari, those are not connected to Pentagon. So these are the things, these are the like MAC address, those are connected to Pentagon, these two.
Okay, thank you.
So can you remind me, what is Pentagon? Is that like your router or?
That's my access point. So
Okay.
for example, when you go to your friend's house, you find some network, right? Those are the name. Like I just name it Pentagon.
Okay.
Okay. So RC4 is a standard. Like it was designed by Ron Rivest in 1987 and kept as a trade secret until it leaked out in 1994. And there's a two part of it. One is key scheduling algorithms, KSA, which turns the random key, typically like 42 to 56 bit. And they have a permutation S and output generation of PRGA, which uses the permutation of generating pseudo-random output sequence. Uh, so these are the technology, like, and if you see like in programming, I don't know everybody know programming here because it is an open forum for public. So these are the two simple code for like how they generate and like PRGA and KSA. So now the problem is when you have like WAP was first developed, it was just transition from wired to wireless. So WAP is just like another version for similar kind of wired protocol. And nowadays people are not using WAP. Most of the router is not using WAP because I just create this to show you the vulnerability. And then WAP2, people mostly use WAP2 protocols. So here in uses RC4 and allows for using one of the two keys, 64-bit and 128-bit. 64-bit, they actually have kind of like 24 like initial vector plus 40 keys. Initial vector means you just feed with initial values. Those 24 initial vector and the key and 128-bit is 24 initial vector and 104 keys, and use the key to encrypt packets. So if you see, understand this, a sender receive those plain text and calculate the cyclic return and check, which is like error detections, and append to the plain text again. And this RC4, they use this 64-bit. And you remember, within the 64-bit, you have 24-bit is initial vector and 40-bit is your key. That means that is your, like, I'll show you like when you got the point, those initial vector, those are our target, how you can crack the password. And why is that, you can understand after two slide. So if the key is the same every time, the key stream will be the same every time. That means we impose some kind of initial vector to change that. So that means for stream cipher, if the same key is used more than once, the cryptanalysis is often quite simple. That means if you see the same key with the same output, you can easily guess what is the key is. But here, when you seed something, that means a 24-bit initial vector, and your key, you use RC4, you use the key stream, and then you concatenate the initial vector to the key to prevent any repetition of the seed of RC4. So that means, for example, if you have 5, your output is 10. Every time you have 5, outputs are 10. But if you add something to 5, for example, right now you add 5 plus 2, your output is 14. 5 plus 3, output is like 16. That means if you add something, that means same input, it generates different output. That's the concept. That's why they use the initial vector. But the problem is, when you use the initial vector here, and then key stream, you XOR with the plain text, you get your cipher text, and then this IV, what's the problem here?
So you're saying if you XOR the plain text output, you're going to get not only the ciphertext, but you're going to be able to determine what the initial value is as well?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Then you might as well be using the same key every time.
Yeah, same IV every time, right? So that means if you have same IV, and that means you use your XOR, use IV and key for decrypt. So in the receiver and you decrypt it. Then the problem is the WP weakness. The purpose of IV is to prevent repetitions. So that means 5 will not give you 10 every time. You add something to diffuse it, right? But the problem is for 24-bit IV, there's 50% probability of the same IV will repeat after 500 packets. So that's our key. That's what we're doing right now. We know like if we receive 5,000 packets, we can easily guess what is the IV is. And if we know the IV is no longer enough to ensure the confidentiality of busy networks, then we use those IV to find out the key, because IV is the same for all those keys. So we have two significant weaknesses of key scheduling algorithms, which derives the initial state from variable key size. And then when you have that key size and IV, then first weakness is the existence of large classes of weak keys, which is a small part of the secret key, determines a large number of bits and initial permutations KSA output. And second weakness is related to key vulnerabilities, which applies the part of key presented to the KSA is exposed to the attackers. And now we see where we are. So we see like a 3,430, and now we can check like our password. So how we can do that is just AR crack. CR crack.
Would you please zoom that window as well?
Okay. Now can you see now?
Yes.
AR crack NG. And do you remember our like output file? What is our output file?
Like our data.
Our data.
Our data. And just put tab. And you see like our data 01. So 01, they automatically created the number, and you have to do like your extension cap. So this data, this our data 01 cap, that is your pcap file. You just dump all those information in your that file. Now when you create this, then they actually, whatever they do, they actually find out all those pcap data, try to find out the initial vector. And when you find the initial vector, then you crack those passwords using the initial vector. That's the idea. And this program is already created, and they actually like already know like how to solve this suit. You can find in Kali Linux. So then you don't have to do a lot of things. You just have to know how to do it. So when you do this, then it will like just try to crack all those initial vectors. The problem is like right now we got only like 5,947 initial vectors. Did you see here 5,947? And oh, we got it. You see the password is 911911919. That is the Pentagon password. So any questions? Did you understand how we hacked this?
Two questions on that. Is that the actual password as if a user would have put, my password, or is that a hash? Yes. or what?
No, the user put that password.
Okay. So
because that password they put in hex, because like in WAP, like when you use in router configurations, you have to put 64 hex or 128 hex.
Okay.
I just use like 911 3 times and 9.
Gotcha. Second question is it identifying when it's got the same initial value by using known properties of like the IP packet or something like that to look for something it can break?
Yeah, I think like the next step is when you know the password, you have access to the like network, then you have different kind of tools to know more. What kind of packet they are using, what kind of like a MAC user they are connecting. That means you get a lot of information, which kind of brand they are using, which kind of like a packet, what kind of traffic patterns. So you can do a lot of different kind of tools you are using. So we are just learning today the first step. And it's so fascinating when you start doing it. And it's like really crazy. Like you cannot go outside. You just do hacking and like it's a fun. So it's just the first step. I think like, and we can do WAP2 protocols too, but we're not covering those today. But I'm really happy to do those kind of more workshop in future. So last comment here. Any questions on the like process, how we did that? No.
I have one question. Just because I got kind of, I'm getting kind of lost in all the coding aspect of it. Is this recording going to be available for us to see again at some point to like go over and just review?
So I'm using Zoom and I record the whole stuff, but I'm not sure how to publish it, because this one is for publicly, like anybody can join anywhere. For example, there's no boundary. So that's why I'm not sure how to publish it. I'm not sure. But if you like, I can just upload in YouTube and share to it. So, or I can upload in my website. I have a website, is siteshajok.me. I can upload there too. So I'm not sure like how to do it, but I recorded it. I have the resource, but I'm not sure how to publish it, but how to publish it. And I also need your permission too, because many of your face is there, your name is there. So I need your permission if you want to publish it. Is that okay with you or not?
Fine by me. I can't speak to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it.
So can you just raise your hand? Or raise your hand if you're not okay. Then it will be easier for me.
You might also just push a link, like a private YouTube link to the email list that you invited to this presentation.
Oh yeah, I can do that too. Yeah. Yeah. So last of all, like you learn a lot of things or not, I'm not sure you enjoy it or not, but don't do it for illegal purpose. Don't hack your neighbor, don't hack your girlfriend, don't hack your boyfriend. So I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving you any legal advice. I just give you like a technical aspect of it, and simply written authorization to hack. So if you want to hack your friend, just get your written authorization and hack it. Or you can build your own network and hack it and try it. And next thing is like there's two things. When you know the techniques, you can do both ways. Either you can do first paragraph, which is like a hacker is an individual who uses their knowledge to test subject, system, equipment. They are authorized to test written permission. You can do this way. Or you can do attacker, an individual who uses the knowledge and test subject, and they do not own, are not authorized to test. So you can do both ways, but I prefer you just choose the first one, be ethical hacker, not the bad ones. Because when you have knowledge, you can go both route. Okay. So I feel that I can build more like good people, and like you can use your knowledge in a good purpose. And that's all I have today. And thank you so much for doing this. And one more thing, I need your help. In my email, I give you a post survey link. Did you remember or not? I also like, can anybody just submit in the chat here too? So everybody get the link. If you do this like a survey, is really beneficial for me, and also like I can show NSF that we can contribute in the community. Then you get more funds, and I can arrange more workshop to help you guys.
I put the link in the chat, but it might be a phishing link. Nobody knows.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Any questions you have? So I have one more thing, like do you need this kind of workshop more? Or like I have a plan to have a like, I don't know how many of you from EVU, I have a plan to organize a club for computer science department club. I'm not sure you have that club or not. then my idea is like maybe we can do once a month in the club this kind of activities. When COVID gone, everybody on campus, we can. So if anybody is interested to form a club or something like that, let me know. I can be advisor. I can be work with you to do this kind of stuff more.
Would you like us just to like send you an email if we're interested in that?
Yeah, you can send me an email. You
Okay.
have my email address, right? So said.shajol@evu.com. So if you're a recent student, current student, and you want to do this kind of stuff, or I'm not sure you have a like active club or not, but I really want to form a club in computer science department and do this kind of activities like knowledge sharing activities once a month. If you're interested, but I need your support.
We do have, there's actually multiple clubs. We do have a developers club that with COVID, everything's inactive right now. But it would be interesting to organize around that. And I don't know if you're a member of ACM or not, but I'd like to get an ACM chapter represented on campus maybe. So we can talk about that individually later.
Yeah, sure. But feel free to reach out to me. I want to do a lot of things like this. So let me know. Okay. Any
So
questions?
should we expect you to email those who attended, that you would email the link of the recording? Is that the plan going forward?
I actually send everybody who sign up, because I'm not sure who attend today, because there's like 110 people sign up and I saw only like highest 53 maybe, right? I didn't see the number. 53 like joined today maybe. But I like to send to everybody the link of my recording and anybody, and then you can reach out to me like through this email. And
okay, thank you.
Individually, if you want to like help me out to have a club or have this kind of stuff in fall, please reach out to me individually. You can strategically form something to go forward. Okay,
perfect. Thank you.
And please submit that link, submit that survey. That's very important for me. Submit the survey. It's only like 1 or 2 pages. It takes only 2 minutes. Please finish that and let me and just that's all you can do from your part for this event.
Yeah, that sounds good. Bob, did you say there was a developers club at UVU already?
Yeah, there's a UVU Dev Club. If you go to the student government, under the student government, there's clubs, or just at uvu.edu, you can look up. I don't have the exact link in front of me. There's a developers club. There's stuff more focused towards web dev. There's the computer engineering folks have an IEEE organization. That's why I think the computer science should have the ACM. But we don't have that currently. But there are, I want to say 7 or 8 different clubs that are at least tangentially related to programming, computer science, or computers. But primarily we have the dev club that focuses on our stuff. It's not active now because of COVID, but it's been fairly active, more or less so, depending on, the semester and everybody's course load. But
you know what kind of category it would fill into? I'm just looking at UVU the groups.
Yeah, let's see if I can figure out.
Yeah.
If I've linked it.
So any other questions you have for this, like, or any suggestions, please reach out to me. And I put my email address here. Anytime you can reach out to me. And so evu.edu.
So you want us to just fill out the link that Bob posted onto the chat here then?
No, like, because I don't know, his link is too big, but my link is this one, like.
Yeah, his link is much smaller in his email. That's the underlying link that it actually linked to, as it showed up in email.
Okay. But how you get is so big link, Bob?
I went to the email and copied the link, and and that's what I know. It's the right link because it's got your name in the middle of it. So
okay. So this is the link I shared. There's the link, so you can use that link to submit your post survey.
Okay.
And I just added the Dev Club page on the campus, whatever the student organization's site.
any other questions for the last time I asked, and let me know. Then we can wrap up here. Okay. Did you learn something today, at least?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I need. Bye.
See you later.